Okay, colleagues, so I think we can start now. Good morning, or maybe good afternoon for some of you. Dear colleagues, it's my great pleasure to welcome you all today in our webinar on turning technical expert review insights into strong BTRs. This is about MENA experiences, challenges, and good practices. So the webinar is organized under the CBIT-GSP MENA Transparency Network in collaboration with the UNFCCC Secretariat and also the Regional Collaboration Center for the Middle East and North Africa and South Asia. Today's session provides an important opportunity to learn from the first experiences of countries that have undergone the technical expert review of their biannual transparency reports. We will hear about the main technical and institutional challenges encountered during the review process, also some of the lessons learned and the good practices that can help countries strengthen their transparency system and improve the preparation of their subsequent BTR. So before presenting the objectives and of course the agenda, so we are honored to begin with opening remarks from Ms. Alma Sean. She's the team lead of the BTR Review Planning and Coordination Units at the UNFCCC Secretariat. Alma, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you for accepting the invitation and also the collaboration and for the continued support that UNFCCC is providing to the CBIT-GSP MENA Transparency Network and all other networks in the world. So the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so good morning or good afternoon to you wherever you are. I'm coming to you from the other side of the world, so it's a bit early in the morning. So hope I can function as effectively as you do. So it is an absolute pleasure for us to be supporting this webinar. And of course, we are encouraged by the number of participants. And of course, as we continue to collaborate with transparency partners, the Secretariat remains ready and available to support these efforts. And we've had some experience over the last few cycles, of course, the last BTRs that we have been reviewing. And so it will be good today to hear from our audience, to hear some of the experiences, at least from the technical side, from some of our experts. And of course, I will elaborate on some of the institutional and process challenges. So we really appreciate this opportunity. And we look forward. We really want to congratulate the parties who have submitted, the parties that submitted the BTRs, and some have gone through the review, while others are being planned, others we are discussing. For the others who have not submitted, of course, we also want to encourage you to submit these BTRs. We know that we've been having multiple interaction, and the BTRs is more than just reporting. The BTRs really provide you with a snapshot of where you are thus far, for the thematic areas, and also to give you an indication of where you are progressing with the implementation and achievement of the NDCs. So with that, I just want to welcome everyone on behalf of the Secretariat and look forward to interacting with you through this meeting. Thanks, and back to you, Gelton.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alma, for this wonderful opening remarks. And this, of course, our pleasure to continue collaborating together in this interesting field exactly, and especially because all countries, I think they need such of these kind of discussions and webinars, and they need also to learn from from each other. So just before I represent the objectives, I want also to express my gratitude to the team from RCC, MENA, and SA, and especially Uma, and also for our speakers. Today we have 6 speakers. We have Alma, we have also Leia, and we have Samir from Lebanon and Egypt, and we have Jaipal, Yamikani, and Amikal. So thank you very much for accepting the invitation and sharing your valuable experience. And thank you also for all participants who joined us today. So let me now very briefly present the objectives of today's webinar. So this session aims to facilitate practical exchange and experiences and lessons learned from the technical expert review process, helping MENA countries better prepare for the future reviews and strengthen, of course, their subsequent BTRs, especially the second one. So more specifically, we will hear directly from countries about how they prepared for and participated in their reviews, gain insights from reviewers, and how technical review team work, and discuss common technical and institutional issues that may arise during the process. So the webinar also aims to highlight some of the practical ways to ensure efficient and constructive communication during the review, and to help countries translate those review findings into concrete improvements in their transparency systems, and especially the subsequent BTRs. And now, because we are starting the second cycle for the second BTR, of course. So for the agenda, we will we already opened this session, so we will start with the session 1, which will provide an overview on the TOR and FMCP processes, and also the lessons learned from the first review cycle. And it will be also presented by Ms. Alma Shon from the UNFCCC, and then we will have another session, country experiences with the TOR process, lessons from 2 MENA countries, from Lebanon and from Egypt. The third session will be insights and guidance from the TOR reviewers and lead reviewers. They will provide some good practices and approaches to overcome the common challenges and gaps. And this will be presented by Miko, by Yamikani, and also Jeba. So they are all the reviewers. And after each session, we will open the floor for discussion. And of course, as always, we will conclude with the mentee survey and closing remarks. So thank you very much, Alma. So now I think we can, before we go to the second session, I would like to ask all participants to turn on their cameras so we can take a beautiful picture of today's session. Okay, this will take only a few seconds. It's nice to see you all. Please turn on your camera. Rudaina, it's a pleasure to see you. How are you?
Good.
How is Jordan?
Thank you.
Okay, just a few seconds so I can take, we have, I think, 2 pages. Okay. One more. Muhammad, Ahmed, Rihab, Mr. Busham. Today it's actually a holiday. Natalia, Nisreen, Leah, Yamikani.
Hi,
Thank you for joining us today. Hi. So today is actually a holiday in Morocco. but I can see some of our colleagues are joining. Thank you very much. So now I hand this over to our dear colleague, Alma. Alma, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Kaltum. Let me just share my screen so I can take you through. Can you please confirm that it's visible?
Yes, yes, it's visible. Perfect.
Okay, all right. Let me just, okay. So as mentioned earlier, I coordinate the technical expert reviews. I see quite a few familiar faces, so I know that you will get a very good oversight today. I just want to begin with putting the technical expert review into context. For some of you, this is a familiar slide, so it's a good refresher. But I also saw some new names, some persons who may not be familiar, and some persons who are preparing their BTRs. So I just wanted to put this into context where the reporting, review, and the facilitative multilateral consideration of progress, which we call FMCP, how these fit together. So we start on the right side with the BTR preparation. You would have received some capacity building. Hopefully, most of you have participated. We have our team with Tugba and Jigme who provide the training to help you implement and operationalize some of those reporting provisions in your BTR. So the context of BTR reporting are listed here that most of you would do, including the RED Plus and adaptation. And as you know, there are, of course, shall requirements, which are, mandatory, and the should requirements. So once the BTRs are submitted, the process for the technical expert review is triggered, like some of you would have experienced already. In terms of the review process, the main aspect is to look at the consistency of the information reported. And of course, this is done within the context of the modalities, procedures, and guidelines that we refer to as the MPGs. And of course, for developed countries, support provided. And some of the main outcomes for developing countries would be the capacity building needs, which is specific to developing countries. And of course, all countries identify areas of improvement. So it really gives you an overview of expert assessment, verified information, as some of you may have experienced. Following this process, then we go into the FMCP, and I'll provide a bit more information on that. So this, in a nutshell, shows you how the cycle fits together. And of course, as we prepare for the global stocktake, the information captured from our report would feed into the global stocktake. Two important things to highlight based on the MPGs would be these guiding principles that experts who review the BTRs that are submitted, they must take on board the national capabilities and circumstances, and that came from you as parties in preparing the MPGs. The second aspect, again, to remind or to reiterate, is the principles of being facilitative, non-intrusive, non-punitive, and of course, respectful of national sovereignty and to avoid placing undue burden. So as some of you may have experienced, the expert review team will not be judging the adequacy of the information that you've reported. So again, just to follow on, just to start with what is not reviewed, and they are listed here. So technical expert review teams should not be intruding on what you've done or questioning or judging the information or the adequacy of what you've reported. And of course, one important point is on the flexibilities that you choose to report. In terms of what is reviewed, of course, all of the information listed on the left side, the thematic areas that come out of your report. And for some of you who may request, for some countries who may request the voluntary review of climate change impacts and adaptation, this is also organized for you. Just a reminder on the format for those who are waiting to submit or those who have actually initiated the discussion in the secretariat. So we have two main formats for now, at least a BTR 1, where we have the in-country review. It's the default format for all BTR 1s. Then, and this takes place, of course, in the specific countries. The centralized review is default in Bonn thus far. But again, just to mention here that there is also the flexibility for developing countries that need it in light of their capacities, where the countries can choose to undergo as a group. So the main one is the in-country, the second being the centralized review for parties who request it, and again, for countries who may choose to undergo as a group. We've had the first one done for the LDCs within the Africa region, and it's encouraging that I saw some of the experts online. So just broadly, three main phases for the reviews. And of course, this is done based on the mandated timelines from the MPGs, where we have the teams are composed, and they review the reports. This is submitted in the different tools that are chosen. So each team prepares those questions that parties receive at least 4 weeks before. Parties are expected to respond to those questions a week, 2 weeks before. And of course, we have the flexibility for countries where they may require a bit more time. Then, of course, this review is conducted within 2 months. The reports should be submitted, recognizing that there may be some challenges on that may delay or that may require a bit more discussion with parties. So the whole process is outlined here. I won't go into everything. And of course, you have the main outcomes of draft areas of improvement and the capacity building needs, with parties providing the clearance for publication. So this is just an overview of the process, what you can expect, what we expect from parties before the review week, during and after. And this presentation will be shared. Of course, for many of you, we have initiated the discussion with you to agree on the format, to agree on the dates, and where necessary for in-country, the logistical requirements. And of course, just to explain to you the whole process. And then what happens during the week, where for in-country, there is greater interaction with the party, with the experts, and we try to do the same for centralized reviews, where we have limited interaction with the party remotely, but nonetheless, to have this discussion on the areas of improvement, on the observations, and of course, to present to parties before publication, before the final report on recommendations or encouragements identified by the team and capacity building needs, and having this discussion. And again, after the week, I showed you the timeline of what happens. These remaining questions, the report goes through the processing, and then the FMCP participation. So this, what I presented was just to give you a nutshell of the process, to put it into context, and then to share with you thus far some of the outcomes of the technical expert review and as we plan for BTR2. So we've had 133 submissions thus far, and the secretariat has initiated discussion with most, if I believe not all, of the parties have been contacted to discuss. Some parties have responded, others we are still waiting. Reviews have been planned, they're ongoing, as you may be aware. So about 122 parties since we started in 2024. We've completed 86, and of course, we have 36 scheduled. And out of these, we've had a mix of the in-country, the centralized reviews, and of course, the group centralized review for 4 parties. And we have ongoing discussion right now. In terms of the challenges that we have, and these challenges we have experienced in 2026 so far, and of course beyond. Many parties have never participated in the technical analysis of the biennial update reports, and that provided some important experience. But what we find we are having some challenges with parties for the first time, and of course the geopolitical challenges that are happening and the implications of delayed responses, visa challenges, security, and of course of venues. So this is something that we're experiencing. What we find, some parties plan resubmissions, and of course, when the technical expert review team is formed, the teams initiate their work with the version that was submitted. And what we find is that some parties desire resubmitting, and we try to support the parties to resubmit at least 8 weeks before, because by then the review teams have initiated their work. And it's a bit difficult for them to now review new submissions. So this has been a challenge to get parties to understand, the importance of that. Most parties, I'm happy to say that most parties remain within these 8 weeks. Others, sometimes we have a challenge in how we deal with that report. And if it comes before the 8 weeks, then it's considered as part of the review process. But later than that, it's really how the technical expert review team opts to deal with it. But most times it's going to be considered as information provided during the review. The secretariat, of course, we experience resource constraints in terms of the staff availability, financial support, and this limits the reviews that we can do within a given year. Of course, we have some backlog right now because in 2026, our maximum capacity would be 62 reviews. So we do have a backlog, and now we're expecting BTR2 reviews that we're already planning for that. We also have challenges with our experts. We've had a number of challenges in securing experts. We've had a high rate of rejection. We have a lot of last-minute challenges with experts, and this really impacts the process where we have to be approaching experts at the very last minute. And of course, you know that we have the balance in the teams, and there is limited availability for developed country experts. But I'm pleased to say that we have
that's no, I have to.
been partnering
RCC is organizing something.
with transparency
So earlier I
partners,
was supposed to be
collaborating more closely, communicating some of our challenges, and so we have some measures that we've taken to improve the process to serve the countries better. So one of the things we are trying to do is to plan an increased number of reviews in different weeks. Last year, we were 2024-25, we did 50 reviews. This year, we've already increased it to 62. So hopefully with the timelines and the increased weeks, we can capture the availability of parties in particular, take on board the national circumstances, for example, the holidays, where we try to stay away. And of course, some of you may experience the advanced preparatory calls. And this is to help exactly what we're doing here, to help understand the review process, what the expectations are, and to agree on dates, reviews, and sometimes to bring national circumstances up front on challenges that may be having. Then for BTR2, of course, we are discussing the formats. For BTR1, as I mentioned, default in-country reviews, but we also facilitate the parties who choose the centralized review, and as much as possible, those who request as a group. And we hope to do the same for BTR2. And I mentioned the resource constraints that we are having. So we are discussing the format for BTR2 to see to what extent we can facilitate it, but dominantly to have centralized reviews and on occasion desk reviews, which we need to do as parties have requested in the guidelines. Again, reaching out to experts, and this is key. These reviews cannot occur without experts, and we are reaching out to experts with longer time frames so we can reduce, the burden and allow parties and experts to plan much earlier. One of the things that we are doing again is to prioritize experts within the region that is being the party under review, and that significantly reduces our cost. However, I want to assure you that we do our best to keep the regional balance to ensure that we meet the guidelines. However, there may be occasions when that is not possible. Since we have the high rate of rejection, we have experts that may not be available. So doing it in advance, we really try to plan ahead. We also have discussion with parties to encourage support for developed countries. I mentioned that we have high rejection rates, and that is dominantly from developed countries. And lastly, we really resource mobilization. Under the core, parties have approved 45 reviews between 26 and 27. So any additional reviews that we do is through the supplementary funds, through parties providing these funds. So thanks to anyone who represents any of these countries who provide these funds. We've had very generous responses, and we hope that will continue to facilitate the reviews. Then I want to quickly go into the FMCP. My colleagues Ruta and Andrea have drafted this presentation and are unable to be here. So I will share that with you, that it's a platform, of course, for dialogue. Some of you may have observed it, for dialogue on exchange of climate policy, NDC implementation, and parties' efforts to support developing countries. So as you know, there's a question and answer period before the FMCP where all countries are given access, and then they can raise the questions and answers that they may have. And of course, the working group session where you have the presentation, and this occurs at DSBs. Then you may have recently, the last one, we had this informal dialogues, voluntary as countries wish, and it's peer-to-peer exchanges, and that was very, very well appreciated. So this is just an overview of the FMCP. As you know, the information is also published online, so parties get a chance to see what others are preparing. So just some snapshots here for you. Again, maybe some familiar faces. We've had 3 of the FMCPs. Of course, the numbers are increasing. We are exploring innovative ways to increase the number of parties who undergo FMCP to avoid the backlog. So this is what we are having now. Trying to be more efficient in what we are doing. We've had some very positive feedback, and we're hoping that we can continue to replicate in the future. One of the things we've observed for these processes, the FMCP, the technical expert review, a very high level presence, and that really underscores the political importance of transparency, flagging, credibility and visibility of the whole process. And just some snapshots here just to show you, and of course an article that you can access. So BTRs are more than just reporting, and the national impact of this is widespread and acknowledged at the highest level. And of course, the dialogues that we mentioned, parties find it very useful, these informal dialogues where you can get closer and delegates engage in a more interactive setting, and as you can see here. So it's something that we have an FMCP team that will reach out to you. Some of them should have reached out to you by now, where you, at least these slides really inform on what you can expect. I have also been asked just to give you some quick information, because there are some experts who are still interested in joining, in participating in reviews. You must successfully complete the review training program for this to be done. So just to provide you some information, these are the courses offered. All are accessible online, open access, and the material can be downloaded. It's self-paced and including practical exercises. There's a dedicated website, and we continue to provide support. The information is here, and of course, any information that you may require, we can help with that. We have a dedicated team. So please let us know. These are the courses, and of course, just some additional information here for you. So with that, back to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Alma. This was very, very informative, and I think that's something that countries need to hear from you. And we'll continue some of the guidance with the second session. Let me share my screen. But in the meantime, I think we would like to open the floor for your questions. Please, colleagues, if you have any questions for Alma, this is the good opportunity. Yes, Leah, please.
Thank you, Kulthum. Thank you, Alma, for the presentation. It's Leah from Lebanon. So I have a question regarding the FMCP. When we were at the SPs last in June, and I think there was the one for Georgia, at least the one that I attended. And there was a discussion that the questions that are being asked are a little bit high level and more strategic and political, instead of them being explicitly technical. And I wanted to ask you if that's now the new structure, if that's how it's going to be divided, as in we get the more technical question and the written process ahead of time, and then the panel questions are a bit more high level and strategic. And if so, if you can provide more information on that, please. Thank you.
Kulthum, would you like to maybe take one or two questions and then I can address them?
Yeah, okay. Samir, please.
Yes, thank you, Kulthum. Thank you, Alma, for your very comprehensive presentation, as usual. I know that you referred to the number of planned review in 2027, maybe 62, if I'm not wrong with the number. I'm wondering if these 62 sessions of review is covering the BTR 2, or it's including also BTR2 and BTR1? Also, I reiterate what's my colleague Leah from Lebanon mentioned regarding the FMCP, because Egypt is planning to have our BTR presented in the next FMCP. And we are planning now arranging with the Ministry of Environment in terms of the deeply strategic questions. I understand that the review is non-punitive. So I would like to reiterate what Leah said as well. Thank you. Back to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so thank you, Leah. Thank you, Samir. Of course, it's always nice to work. We have two very experienced experts, and you've raised, I want to take the FMCP question. Yes, the questions and answers that occur before the FMCP are intended to have the technical issues sorted out to give the party a chance to review them and to respond. As you say, it's the whole process of the ETF is intended to be non-punitive. We reiterate that to parties, and we recognize that I mentioned this high-level political presence. And what we observe, of course, parties are taking advantage of the presence of these high-level representatives to raise questions that, that are very strategic, as you say. And this is what we try to encourage. We did get some positive feedback on that, but there are times when parties have expressed concern on some of the questions raised. And we are doing our best to speak with parties and prepare parties in advance to reiterate the technical questions are addressed beforehand. And yes, the high-level strategic questions are posed during the FMCP, but they still need to be within the principles of non-punitive, non-intrusive. So if at any time a party feels that, well, the UNFCCC definitely would intervene if questions perhaps, well, at least the chair, and I've sat in many of these, maybe even under the BTR and the BR, where the chair has to tell parties this is outside of the scope. Parties have expressed that on the floor as well. So we are trying to avoid these uncomfortable interactions for everyone. And so we try to prepare the parties in advance. So the high-level strategic questions, of course, are targeted mainly because of the high-level political presence. But again, when parties feel like this, we are doing our best to address it. So I've taken note of this here again, and I will communicate that to my team members to ensure that when the FMCP parties are being prepared, that they are fully aware that these principles should be upheld. For the second question from Samir, so let me just clarify. In 2026, Samir, is where we would have the 62 parties under review. For 2027, we actually have 80 reviews planned, and that would include both BTR1 and BTR2. There would mainly be BTR2, of course, as I mentioned. 133 parties have submitted BTR1. Some of them are still outstanding. We are trying our best to do most of them by the first quarter of 2027. And so we will have some in country, centralized, and of course, group reviews as requested. But most of them would be BTR2. So I'm very conscious of the time, so I want to stop so that our next speaker can go. But I'm happy to address any questions in writing in my email, and I will send the presentation to Keltum. Thanks, and back
Thank you
to
very much. Thank you, Alma. Thank you very much for addressing all these questions. And now I think you can see my screen. So now we move to the second session, which is country experiences with the TOR process, lessons from MENA countries. And we will host with us Lebanon and Egypt. Thank you very much for these two countries for accepting our invitation and coming to share your valuable experience with other countries from the MENA. So the MENA region. Just move the slide. So the session, as you can see here, will focus on three main points: how MENA countries organized and prepared for the technical expert review process, the main technical questions and findings that were prized during the review, and how they are responding to all of those recommendations or encouragements, and the key lessons learned for improving their future BTRs. And we know that these two countries already respected the first deadline of submitting the BTR, the first BTR, on December 2024, and they are working very hard now to respect one more time the second cycle and submit by December 2026. So the key lessons learned for improving future BTRs will be on JG inventory, NDC tracking, or the national key A, key C procedures. So let's, our speakers. My pleasure today to introduce two speakers. Miss Leah Kay, she's the projects manager at the UNDP Climate Change Office in Lebanon. And Mr. Samir Tantawi, he is the BCR2 and the National Communication Projects Manager and UNFCCC TOR lead review as well from Egypt. So thank you very much, colleagues, for accepting the invitation and for sharing your country experience. Maybe I can start with Leah from Lebanon. Leah, could you please tell us how Lebanon prepared for and participated in the TOR process, and what were the main questions or technical issues raised by the review team, and how did you respond to the requested additional information? And maybe finally, you can also share with us some of the lessons that you will apply when you are preparing for now for the next BTR and your transparency arrangements. And I know also that you are starting the second phase of your CBIT projects. Over to you, Leah.
Thank you, Kulthum. Can I share my screen or will you share my presentation?
No, you can. I think you can from your side.
So let me see. Thank you for the introduction, Kulthum. I'm very, very happy to be on board on this. And so when Kulthum asked me to be here, the first reaction was definitely I would share experience. I have so much to say. So, yeah. But just also to give you a little background. So I work at the Ministry of Environment. So I manage the JEF, BTR, NC project. But actually, I'm located at the Ministry of Environment, and I've been here for 20 years. So Samir and I actually have met, I think, back in 2006 or 2007 when we were doing the second national communication. And why I'm saying this? Because I think most of the lessons learned, and I think most of the successes attributed to Lebanon's and Egypt's frequent and recurrent reporting is that you have the same team and you have an institutional memory that has been built throughout the years within maybe keeping the same people and expanding and letting other people within your institution also learn. Another thing that is also extremely important is that I'm also a lead reviewer. So which gives me, so I'm on both sides of the table. I have learned a lot from reviewing other countries BTRs and BURs before. So this is also, so when you see these two aspects, so then I think you can read my lessons learned in a different way. So preparing for the technical analysis. So first, Lebanon requested the UNFCCC to do a centralized review. Yes, not a country review, a centralized one, because of the situation and because we didn't want to be drowned in logistics of preparing for the in-country. Instead of just, focusing on the technical review review week. Second, we also did not request any review for our adaptation part of the BUR, of the BTR. So it was pure, whatever that is related to the MPGs. So to prepare for the TER, once you're contacted, so it's very important to nominate the BAUR compiler and or the inventory compiler. Sometimes it's the same person. I know all of us developing countries, it's one person doing the whole exercise. In case it's not the same person, both are very important. So remember that BTRs and reviews are not just about inventories. You have 4 other chapters that will be reviewed and where you have to put efforts in. Make all the documentation sheets that you have readily available, because you will have to go back. You have questions as detailed as, why is the KRAM under agriculture 20? What is the reference? So of course you will not have it in your brain. So you will have to know where to look for this information and if this information is there and who told you about this information. Sometimes it's expert judgment. Okay, who was the expert who said that KRAM should be 20, for example? Okay, so to be so that it's each activity point or data point is easily traceable. Free yourself and during the technical week, but most importantly into during the QA week. So they send, I think 3 weeks in advance, Alma was saying, I don't remember, they send the questions. It's this week where you have to free your schedule, free yourself and do it in one shot. Also during the technical review, but they won't need you that much during the review week. You will be needed the most during the question and answer. The better you do at your question and answer, the less you will be needed during the review week. Finally, if you use sectorial consultant, inform them that you will be contacting them so that they're readily available for quick consultation. In terms of participation, so we were involved as the team. So in Lebanon, we do it all in-house. Every cycle, we hire 1 or 2 consultants to improve one of the sector, but most of the BTR and inventory is done in-house. So we have built this capacity here. So we tell our experts to be involved in case we need them. So we made sure that all answers were easy to find because we have good documentation. Definitely we need the more improvement, but we were able to track this because this is our 5th TER that we participate in. So khalas, we know what they will ask and what we will do. The video conference definitely facilitated communication. Don't skip it. It's very nice to meet the TER, to feel comfortable with them. And usually they make you feel comfortable so that you see them and you realize that actually they are on your team. They're not there to, it's not punitive, as Samir was saying, and Alma. They're here to help you identify your needs so that you improve the next BTR. So it is very participatory, and the main aim is to identify the country-specific needs. What's nice about it is that sometimes they see something that you did not see, and they say, well, you know what, you can put this in your improvement plan, and this is something easy for you to do, so you have these light bulb moments. Also, what I try to do is to benefit from the TER team and revert the questions back to them. So, imagine that in 1 week you have 6 amazing people, experts in their field, that they're here trying to help you improve. So sometimes when they ask a question where I don't have the answer, I actually nudge them and probe them and follow up with individual emails asking, so what do you propose for us to do? How can we improve our KRAM, or how can we improve our distribution of diesel use and generator? And most of the time they're very giving, and they help you to identify new ways and approaches to improve. So I always use them and their expertise and their brain to improve my BTR. So do that. Something very important to do during the QA week is to document your own answers, because you have to write the answers on this platform, right? And sometimes it disappears. So for your institutional memory and for others around you, so that they keep, so for the next TER or the subsequent TER. So what I do is that I export, you can export your Q&A and try to put here all your answers and keep them for you. Not only for you, because sometimes the way you answer question 1 is very similar to the way you answer question 94, okay? So that you remember that you're using the same, the same principle and concept. And the most important is the final column, which is action. Please, please, please advise. When you answer and there's a change, go back to your NIR or BTR and change it directly or put it as a comment, or else you will forget. So directly, so I change it directly in the CRT table, or I change the text directly in the NIR. This would really help you not remember all the time what you should do. We received 1 or 3 questions, record-breaking. Unfortunately, most of them were questions related to CRT and QA/QC. Why? Please don't rely on the IPCC software to export your CRT table and then import them back into the ETF platform. Do your QA/QC. I know everyone did not have time in BTR1. Now you have time. Do a very good CRT QA/QC checking. I'll skip this. I think, yes, this is my last one. I see your face, Kulthum. So key lessons learned. Strengthen QA/QC before submission. So, okay, audit yourself. If you have the budget in your projects to recruit an independent technical reviewer, please do it. It really helps. Triangulate. 3, IPCC software or any software, NIR, CRT tables. This is a very important triangulation, or CTF tables, okay? So this exercise, you have to do it. Document everything, because also your question and answers, I said it. Don't procrastinate your actions. Create the action column and do it directly. Invest in your documentation sheet. Invest time. I know it takes a lot of time, but do them. It will save you time in the rest, in the subsequent reporting. BTR writing. The more the merrier. The more you write, even if it's a 600-page document, just write, because they will ask you about it. Okay, so whatever you have in your brain, just put it in the NIR or in the BTR. Use the TER to your benefit, so use them. And my last 2 points. Become the consultant yourself. Don't rely on consultants, because if they work on your inventory today, in 3 years, they will disappear with their files. The more you can accompany your consultant, learn from them in a way that you can do it yourself, do it. So become the consultant so that you don't need them anymore. And actually the knowledge is within your institution. And definitely, my most encouraging and maybe the final word, become a reviewer yourself. Go through the exam, go through the courses. They're super nice. Go through the exam, become a reviewer, 1 chapter after the other, and you will be amazed on how much you learn, and you'll enjoy the process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leah. Thank you very much. This is very much appreciated, and I think it's sweet, simple, summarized, and exactly what we need as countries to hear from you. So we are always, and I say always, very pleased by inviting Leah and to hear from her. Thank you very much. And I think many people want to hear more details. Rehab, please go ahead. Rehab, I think she's from Egypt. You are mute. Maybe she's having some issues. Please, we open the floor for your questions for Leah. If you want to learn more about their experience, maybe I have one. Leah, did you think about requesting also the technical expert review for the adaptation this time?
No. No, we didn't. Not because we're not comfortable in being reviewed adaptation. I'm very confident that our adaptation section is very, very good. But we're a small team, as I said, so really two challenges, the small and the number of people working on BTRs and time runs, and it's every 2 years. By the time you collect data, and actually institutions reply to you and give you data, it's time to finalize. So we really didn't want to spread ourselves too thin and go through a review for adaptation. Maybe eventually we will, but not under BTR1.
Yes. And what do you think about the number of recommendations that you receive? Do you really have enough time to address all of them in the BTR2? Or do you want to keep like some for the BTR3 maybe?
Good. Great question. So a lot of these 1 or 3 questions are related, and they can be grouped in like 3-4 themes, right? You have the QA/QC and the CRT tables that we are working on them now. Other recommendations, you have simple things that you can review now. You have things that require more studies, let's say country-specific BOD. So we put it either in BTR3 or in CBIT. So anything that is related to, let's say, indicator and DC tracking, some are about PAMs. We put it under CBIT because it's where they belong. And everything that is related more to the improvement of activity data and methodologies and going to Chair 2, we put them in BTR3. And things can finish. So I can like put results in BTR2, and there are things that maybe will come in BTR5.
Right. That's very
and
important
it's okay.
point.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, it's okay because some of the recommendations you can just come into 2 years and address all of them. It's something that needs to be built. It's a sustainable system, and it's learning by doing, as they say. And the first thing that I love and I like about Lebanon is that they are taking advantage from their CBIT projects and also the BTR. So everything that they need to be improved, so they are taking care of that under the CBIT. I think your online platform, transparency platform, also including other sectors. I think this task force that you have sectoral, if I still remember. So all of that was built under the CBIT, the first phase. And then the second phase will improve. Thank you very much, Leah.
Can I just add just one thing for colleagues who are doing their TAR now? Not all the recommendations raised by the team should go into your improvement plan. Okay, so sometimes there are things that are very ambitious that maybe you don't want to commit yourself to it. So don't feel the pressure to put everything in your improvement plan. Pick and choose the one that you see that you, in your capacity or your institution, can achieve. And the utopic and very inspirational recommendations, you can keep them for you, but not commit to them in your BTR.
That's absolutely right. Thank you very much, Leah. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your presentation and also your continuous support and great collaboration. And now let me move to our second speaker, Mr. Samir Tantawi. All of us know him. Samir, how can you say how can you talk about Egypt's experience? So how did you prepare for the tour, including the organization of the national team, the support and documentation, and also your internal coordination? And what were the main technical findings or areas of improvement identified by the expert during the review? And how you as a country are using these findings to strengthen the second BTR, particularly, I'm not going to say just JG inventory and NDC tracking, but even institutional arrangements maybe. Thank you very much, Samir, for joining. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Kulthum. It's my pleasure to be here with you, all our good friends, and it's my pleasure as well to be part of the session with my dear friend Leah. And congratulations for the very comprehensive presentation as usual. If you allow me to share my screen, please.
Yes, I think you can share.
I hope you can see my screen now.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Before I start, I would like to highlight some main points. I'd like to say that the review of our BTR, also it was a quite full of challenge process, but it was very quite useful for us. It was the first ever in-country review for Egypt for any report. We have subject to reviewed our BUR. It was in country. It was not a review. It was analysis. But the review session in last April in Cairo, that was the first ever in-country review. We had a lot of list of challenges before and during the review. But alhamdulillah, thanks God for everything went smoothly because we success to have cooperation between the national team and the secretariat. And I would like to thank the secretariat for the support, continuous support. And we were lucky to have a very good review team. All of them are good friends, and we have very good outcomes from the review. In terms of the question, I know we are behind the time, but I will highlight some important points regarding the how Egypt prepare for the term. As Alma said, we have received a notification from the Secretariat early according to the timeline, and we have a project support the government. This is the project that I manage. It's a first and second BTR and fifth national communication. We coordinate with the Ministry of Environment, with Climate Change Department, in order to in all the process of to arrange for the review. We invited all line ministries representatives. We have been reviewed for the GG inventory, NDC tracking progress, PAMS adaptation, but not for FTC, not for finance technology capacity building chapter. So the project was covering all the arrangements, as I said, and representatives from line ministries attended the review process. We considered the in-country review as a sort of capacity building. We were keen to give all governmental representatives and line ministry representatives and our national consultants to have experience how the review process is conducted, how to respond to the questions. We received a lot of questions. We received, I think, 125, something, maybe more, of the questions from the team. All were answered in timely manner, and we received also additional questions during the review week. So all logistics arrangements have finalized by the project, as I said, and early arrangements with the key expert and sharing preliminary question with them. We have different arrangements comparing with Lebanon. When we started developing our BTR1, we contracted with local consultants for different chapters. So we have a consultancy firm for greenhouse gas inventory, and this firm contracted with internally with other consultants for the sectoral inventory, for energy, for EPO, for waste, for LULUCF, and another contract with a consultancy firm for NDC tracking progress and BAMS, and another one for adaptation. And then we have contracted with a national consultant to compile the report as whole. After that, we applied, which I consider very useful exercise, and one of the lessons learned, we contracted with a local consultant to review something like internal review. It was like a mock review, like a technical expert review process, but it's on the national level by another experts who were not involved in the preparation of the report, and it was very quite useful exercise. For the documentation coordination, the official support letter issued to facilitate the data collection from different entities and reused and built on prior documentation. We had a PUR1, we had a National Communication 4, we had previous greenhouse gas inventory, so we built on that. And a facilitative in-country review held in Cairo, as I said, in April, and the project through a contracted local team of expert coordinated direct engagement between the third and the national sectoral team. In terms of the important technical findings, we have list of findings, and we consider that this list of findings is very important for us in the currently prepared the BTR2, because we understand and believe that this enhance the quality of our reporting and enhance the transparency of our report. One of the highest priority recommendation is to have integrated MRV and data center. This is a digital MRV system and climate change data center, and we are working on that currently in cooperation with different donors, with different ministries and entities. The second high priority is institutional internal MRV system. It's a consistent greenhouse gas accounting and emission tracking across all inventory sectors: energy, agriculture, transport, industry, waste, and so on. And we have some key gaps like the NIR tier upgrade. We were recommended to upgrade the tiers in specific sectors from tier 1 to tier 2 or 3, especially in EPO for cement, ammonia, iron, steel, and aluminum, and for agriculture. We have also a gap in QA/QC consistency. For category-specific QA/QC system may be needed, and especially in energy and waste. Another important priority related to LULUCF, land use change and forestry. It was recommended that to a national remote sensing greenhouse gas-based land monitoring system for consistent high-resolution activity data. And I believe the CBIT arranged a very useful session for LULUCF last week, and Egypt presented its exercise. And the highest priority also related to NDC and PAMS tracking to capacity to model and quantify how PAMS, such as subsidy reform, support the NDC targets plus cross-ministry data sharing. One of the gaps also is related to waste time series and QC under waste sector, and support the tracking of Article 9 to 11, which is related to finance. In terms of the third findings to improve BTR2, I summarized or selected the most important three issues. The first one is replacing sectoral priority. We have agriculture and waste currently carry no high priority in comparing with energy and EPO, despite their significance to the inventory. Both are being reassessed, particularly agriculture, which may need a higher tier methods and country-specific emission factor, and we are working on that. Second one is harmonizing quality assurance, quality control prioritization, which is related to high priority at the general and cross-cutting level, especially for energy and waste. And the third one is elevating NDC tracking and modeling, we have used the LEAP model in our report. And we see that it's important to build the capacity for PAMS, projection, tracking, and quantification to give more focus on that. We have not reported in our BTR1 information about projection. We use the flexibility under this, but we are planning to have to report about projection in our BTR2. In terms of the third questions and institution prioritize going forward, what the consultant team's review covers for the BTR2, internal ministerial coordination. It's important to have a centralized data platform for cross-ministry sharing and potential climate law formalizing institutional rules. It's important to have sort of this rule to have a systematic MRV system, and sectoral data management, stronger system and management system, and systematic data management within sectoral institutions feeding the inventory and NC tracking. And finally, MRV technical capacity. It's important to have sustained reinforcement of MRV related technical skills across the national transparency team. On the national level, we consider that the capacity building needs table or identified by the team of reviewers, a team of experts. We consider it as a working roadmap for closing the gaps. It's not just a compliance record, not just review outcomes. We are planning to have this as part of our improvement plan. I would like to summarize in a very short 2 minutes, maybe, the lessons learned. It's important to have early arrangements for the review week. As I said, we have notification from the secretariat early, and we start the arrangements very early. We included all the relevant line ministries and local consultants in the review week, even before the review week. We had a dedicated local consultant to be sort of facilitator between the experts who developed the chapters of the BTR2 and the secretariat and the review team. This facilitator consultant was responsible to receive the questions and analyze these questions and send this question to the respective consultant, local consultant, and receive back the answers and analyze the answers, and then put or add the answers to the review platform. This process or this mechanism went very smooth, helps us to respond to all questions received by the team. The last point, it's important to be as flexible and as transparent as possible before and during the review week. This helps in pushing things when it's very smooth and cooperating with the review team. With that, I would like to stop and give the floor back to you, Kulthum.
Thank you very much, Samir. That was very insightful, actually, and it's a great pleasure to learn from Egypt's experience. I know that you have very strong institutional arrangements for climate change, via the climate change units that you created into the sectoral ministries, and that's something very helpful in such cases of the review and also for data management and data collection. So now I would like to open the floor once again for the Egypt experience. Please go ahead, colleagues, if you have any questions for Samir.
It seems the presentation was very clear.
Of course, yes. So Also, the same question for Leah. I understand that you already conducted the adaptation chapter, right?
Yes, adaptation including
how was
loss and
that?
damage.
Yes. How was that? Like,
Yes,
Mhm.
please go ahead.
Because we know already what kind of comments we can receive from the GG inventory, from NDC tracking, but for adaptation, maybe it will be a little bit tricky.
You know, for adaptation under the MBG, we don't have shall requirements. It's all should or maybe. So we received list of encouragement to enhance the reporting under this important chapter. Adaptation is very important for Egypt because Egypt is one of the most vulnerable countries, as you know. We have a good experience to contract with a local consultant to develop the adaptation chapter and to follow the MBG under this chapter. So it's include information about adaptation, vulnerability, and loss and damage. We consider it is a good start. We are planning to enhance this chapter in our second BTR. We also plan to benefit from this information reported under this chapter to benefit from the loss and damage fund, maybe to have some list of potential projects to be presented to the loss and damage fund. But this chapter, together with the ongoing activity, we are now on the national level, we are developing the national adaptation plan. This is a project developing a comprehensive adaptation plan, which we believe that we will benefit from it in our reporting under BTR2. So adaptation was quite useful, quite useful exercise, and quite important as well. And as I said, we will benefit from it in BTR2 and National Communication 5.
Right. Thank you very much, Samir. That's very good to hear. That's one of the countries in the MENA already conducted the adaptation. I think all others, we don't have any other experience in the field. Natalia, please go ahead. I think Natalia has a question for you.
Yeah. Hi, Samir. Great to see you. I've got a question. So how has the experience with the TER is going to change the process of preparation of the BTR2 and preparing to the TER for BTR2?
Thank you, Natalia. This is a very good strategic question. We don't receive the final recommendation yet. It's still, the report is still under finalization. We are planning to, once we receive the final recommendation, we are planning to have analyze this list of recommendations on the national level. And according to the national capacity, we will prioritize these recommendations in order to apply the most appropriate or most urgent according to the national capacities and national maybe resources. We have some things on the ground. For example, the recommendation related to MRV. We are working now on the centralized or digital MRV system that covers all sectors. Also, we have also important recommendation related to capacity building. We are working on designing a national platform for capacity building. This will be a unified platform on the national level. And we as a project are investing good contribution of our resources in developing this national platform. This is in coordination with the Ministry of Environment. So in brief, we will get the list of recommendation and prioritize and apply according to the national resources and national capacities to be reflected in our BTR2 and NC5.
Thank you very much, Samir. Leah?
Thank you very much.
To Natalia.
Question. Other than how it will help us in BTR2, it actually help us shape very, very detailed, tailor-made activities for the enabling activities, so for the BTR2, BTR3, 6NC, and the CBIT. So everything that is highlighted is reviewed, prioritized. So as I said, we don't take all, all the recommendations in consideration, and these recommendations become activities with budgets related, with a time frame, and this is how we've been able to improve our national communications, BUR, and now BTR across time. And the TER definitely helps a lot, especially if you keep track of all the comments that you have received historically, and if you track them, it gives you a snapshot of how far you've reached in your reporting.
That's
Thank you, Leah.
true.
This is a very good comment, and I very highly support your comment. The review and reporting under the transparency, I believe that it's a learning by doing process and accumulated experience, and I believe that also our BTR was quite good. And this is my point of view. It was quite good, and we spent a lot of efforts through our national consultant, and I would like to thank them very deeply. Thank them. Some of them are with us today. Because we stressed we have a very short time to develop the BTR1 and to submit in time, but I believe the second BTR will be better.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Samir. Natalia?
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead, please.
I don't know, I haven't presented myself, but just in case there are people that that don't know me, I'm the regional technical advisor from the UNDP side, and I just support a number of countries in Arab state regions, region and North Africa. Well, last week I was at the CG workshop in China, and one of the findings, there for me personally, because I am not that super technical level person, right? And like every time I hear something new, and it feels it makes my picture, of the ETF better. So one of the findings for me was that actually the TER process is meant to help also to advise on the capacity building needs. So I understand that the experts are meant to discuss with the countries to identify the capacity building needs for the future. So I wanted to ask about that experience, because my lesson from the workshop in China was that we do have the NDC, we do have which sets the target, we do have the BTR, which is about measuring, how we progress. We do have the gaps, in terms of the capacity, but as well technical ones. So we do identify what is needed, right? Like we see what is needed as well, thanks to the TER process. And then we build through thanks again to the TER process, the capacity building needs that Samir touched upon. And I'm really happy to hear that that platform is building, because I think that this is something which helps to get all the information together, and then to have everyone in the country on the same page in terms of what is needed, what is already planned, and if it's not there, then people need to come in. And then finally, like another part, like the very last point is that although, as Samir mentioned, that the FTC, right, the support needed and received in terms of the finance technology transfer and capacity building, it's not a mandatory part, right? And I mean, it's not something which is actually even reviewed by the TER team, but this is like the final step, I think, or like the top of this pyramid that I was describing in terms of highlighting what the country needs, specifically in terms of the finance, technology transfer, and the capacity building. So based on everything from NDC, BTR, TER process, identifying the capacity building needs and then reflecting them in this chapter. So it's just my little intro, but the question is, please share your experience on the work with the TER team on the capacity building needs assessment. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Natalia,
much.
thank you, Natalia, for this good question. During the review week and by approaching the end of the review week, we have a meeting with the expert team, a reviewer team, and we have received a potential list of potential capacity building needs. And we went into very deep discussion with the team to expand this list of capacity building needs according to the our national needs. We know what we need, so we went into discussion with the team to enhance or to adjust the capacity building needs list. And as I said, this list will be used as a reference for the next period activities for building the capacity. For example, as I said, we have lack of capacity for using the models, and models is very important for us, especially, for example, the LEAP model. The LEAP model is not easy to be used, so we need to have a capacity for this important model, especially in the NDC tracking progress and the projection. So we asked the team to, we explained the importance of this capacity to the team of experts, and we agreed to include it in the final list of capacity building. As I said, we don't have the final report yet, but this is the way we agree to have the list of capacity building needs. In terms of FTC, yes, FTC is not mandatory. Like the adaptation, but I believe we had a very strong chapter reported in our BTR1 under the FTC. We have a very good national expert, who spent very good efforts to have a comprehensive chapter under FTC. And I believe we may request including the FTC in our next in-country review. I hope I could answer your question.
Thank you very much, Samir. I think yes. Leah, could you say a few words about the capacity building needs?
So, so capacity building needs are reported separately in the annex document of the TER report, which is nice and easy and easy to follow. It's like, you know, an executive summary of what needs to be done in the future. They go to two places. One, they land into your support needed and received chapter of BTR2. So if this was highlighted by the TER, so it's nice to put them and add things that might have not been there. So here you have your reported list of capacity building needs for reporting. What is missing and what usually needs to be done is capacity building for implementation. And this is what our stakeholders need. Don't forget that these BTRs are not just to report on the Paris Agreement. It's a very nationally owned document that guides so many proposals. It's a backbone and the reference of climate change for policy for whoever is developing a proposal. So we try as much as possible not to limit it just, you know, to increase transparency in reporting or your CRT tables, but go really beyond this. Yes, and the second, so eventually the second place where this list lands is in the shopping list. You know, so this is the shopping list. All stakeholders here, you know, you have all these capacity building needs. Pick and choose. in your project, where do you want to take them? Where do you want to put them? And if everyone takes a piece of the puzzle, so eventually with time, we would be able to tick boxes on what we've achieved.
Right, that's very correct. Thank you very much, Leah. Samir, just a few words
Yes, and
before we go to
very,
the
very short, yes, and very short, 1 minute only, related to the capacity building needs, because this is a very important question. We also plan to prioritize the capacity building needs to link it with the list of flexibility. We use the list of flexibility in our BTR1, and it's important to report for how long we will use this flexibility. We need to identify in our report the time frame for how long we will keep using the flexibility. So it's important to link between the list of capacity building needs and to overcome the flexibilities used in the reporting. Second point is it's important to link between the capacity building needs and the resources, national resources. As you know, we are developing these reports on a project based. We don't need to keep that for a long time, but I think it's important to have our own system in order to overcome all challenges, reporting challenges. All developing countries will receive support for developing the BTR3 and BTR4, but what after that, I don't know. Maybe Natalia can give us some highlights about that, but it's important to have our national system in order to have a sustainable system for reporting.
Right. Natalia, maybe you can talk a little bit about the GEF fund for the BTR after BTR4, right, Samir?
Well, fingers crossed, this will continue because it's written in the Paris Agreement. I'm so sorry, but someone to distract me here, the fluffy one. So yeah, so hopefully this will continue, right? I mean, right now we're working already on the BTR3, BTR4 proposal, and in some countries that already covers as well BTR5. But I wanted to really highlight the point that Leah made, that it's like, and Samir as well. So in terms of the capacity building that's needed to be able to overcome the flexibility provisions which were used and that need to be addressed in a given time. It's not like an endless thing to be used. And also what Leah said, that this is about the NDC implementation. So what is required to achieve the NDC targets, and then to make like a shopping list. So I cannot say even better. I really like this word, and I will keep it using, like shopping list, in terms of what the country needs and would like to get from others to be able to achieve the NDC targets. Yeah, and we continue working on Samir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all of you. Let's now move to the third session. The third session is about insights and guidance from the TR reviewers and lead reviewers, good practices and approaches. We are running a little bit over time, but I think it's okay. So this is just to present what will be the main objective of this session. This session will provide a review perspective and the most common technical and institutional issues identified during the BTR reviews, as well as some of the good practices for preparing for the review and communicating effectively with the technical review team. So our speakers here will also share practical approaches for addressing review findings and using them to strengthen future BTRs. So let me now introduce our distinguished speakers. We have with us Ms. Amigo Karim Rai. She is UNFCCC reviewer. She's also one of our estimated senior advisor on energy and projections in the UNEP Copenhagen Climate Center. We have also Mr. Yemegani Idris. He's also also a UNFCCC lead reviewer. He's a CGE member and environment and climate change expert represents in Malawi. And we have also my colleague, Jaipal Singh. Usually we say Jaipal Chauhan. He's also UNFCCC lead reviewer, and he's also Asia regional coordinator for the CBIT-GSP with UNFCCC. So we are here some of the guiding questions that we want to ask to our speakers. The first question is about what are the most common technical and institutional challenges identified during the review of the first BTRs, and also what can countries do before and during the review to ensure efficient, constructive, and facilitative communication with the review team. And maybe also our speakers could share some of the good practices that they observed in countries and that were well prepared and able to respond effectively during the review week. And finally, it's how can you advise countries to translate the TR findings into concrete improvements in their transparency system and subsequent BTRs. So maybe we can, and of course, always ladies first, so we can start with Emiko. Thank you very much for joining us. And I leave the floor now to Emiko.
Thanks a lot, Keltoum. So I'll prepare a very short presentation and I'll try to be very quick. I've been expert reviewer for UNFCCC since 2016, and during the time I did my first review back then, I was also responsible for preparing a chapter for national communication of Kazakhstan, and my perspective of looking at the MPG requirements completely changed after I participated in the technical expert review. And as Leah and Samir already mentioned, that the review process gives you a lot of experience in understanding and interpretation of the MPGs. And before the review experience, I was looking at the MPGs in Russian language. And when you read them in Russian, there was no difference between shall and should. And we were trying to do fulfill all the provisions. And for us, for myself, it was not clear what is the difference between shall and should. And yeah, we spend a lot of time maybe on something that is not mandatory, while we didn't spend enough resources and time for the shall provisions. So I think that it's good to look at MPGs in English and clearly understand which MPGs are shall and which are should, because we know that usually the resources of the countries are limited, the time and the staff available. So sometimes we don't want to miss very important MPGs, while others we can postpone for later. So understanding the difference between the different provisions of the MPGs is very important. Also, during my experience of being reviewer for the UNFCCC, is that sometimes there are very minor issues in the reporting that could be easily fixed with a proper QA/QC. And these issues might be, for example, some inconsistencies between textual explanation and tables, CRT, CTF, and FTC tables. Some minor errors within the tables, empty fields, or incorrect use of notation keys. And sometimes I saw the examples when the countries were not providing complete information on the flexibility used without explaining the capacity constraint or timelines for improvement. And these are actually generally the issues that can be easily fixed if there was a personnel staff who will be responsible for quality control, quality check of the BTR, looking at the consistency of the BTR chapters with the tables, with the figures, looking if there are no empty fields in the CRT, CTF, and FTC tables, looking at if the notation keys are correct. So this doesn't need a lot of resources, and this will avoid a lot of recommendations and encouragements in the technical expert review. And generally, as we saw from the experience of Samir and Leah, is that in principle, very experienced reviewers who do this QA/QC can easily avoid these issues in the reporting. So having someone with a review experience would help to avoid many minor issues in the reporting. And from my experience of reviewing of projections chapter in particular, there something in common is that, for example, missing projections and using flexibility, and this is okay to use flexibility, but using flexibility implies that there is additional reporting requirement. Additionally, there is a need to report on the MPG paragraph related to flexibility, related the capacity constraint, what prevents to provide this information, and time frame for improvement. So it's important of not forgetting to include this additional information whenever the countries are using the flexibilities. And from the experience of the BTR1, we saw that countries were using flexibility, but not sufficient information was providing on the reasoning and the time frame for improvement. And also some other issues were incomplete or non-transparent methodologies or key assumptions used for projections, missing sensitivity analysis, but sensitivity analysis is a should provision of the MPGs. So in my opinion, focus on the sensitivity analysis after you have fulfilled all the shells, because there are many shell provisions in the projections. So I don't recommend focusing on the sensitivity analysis if there is the projections are still lacking like sectoral gas representation. So something more important and more priority in the reporting. So in terms of the good practices during the review process, is that is also Samir and Leah mentioned, is that ensure that the BTR team will respond to questions raised by technical expert review team in time, and then confirming the availability of sectoral experts throughout the review process. Why it's important? Because review experts are human beings, so they can make mistakes. They can miss some information in the BTR, and even though the information has this the BTR contains this information, reviewer might not see it, might not find it, and so the reviewer will raise the question why some information is missing, whether some information is not transparent. So it's very important to answer these questions. I'm not saying that answering the questions will avoid all of the recommendations, but in some cases, when the BTR reviewer might miss some information, then it might help you to avoid some of the recommendations or encouragements. Also, during the review week, generally first day, the parties are making the presentations, and during that presentations, also the host party experts can provide additional information on the responses to questions, provide response to questions. So not only focusing on the BTR chapter and generic presentation, but also trying to have a discussion about each question. And during the review week, also sometimes technical expert review team might request for additional bilateral meeting with the BTR experts or sectoral experts. For example, projections expert in the technical expert review team might meet with the projection experts in the host party. And in that way, it will be a dedicated discussion, so that, for example, in my case, from my experience, is that sometimes during these bilateral discussions, we help the party to understand why there was an issue, and it was helpful to clarify that sometimes MPG interpretation was not correct, and then they will understand how to address this issue in the next BTR. Because of course the review report is useful, but having a real discussion is also might be very helpful, because reading the MPGs is one thing, but sometimes I know that interpreting the MPG, how practically we can satisfy the MPG requirements is another thing. So my role as a technical expert reviewer would be to explain what would be the best reporting, how can the party will can address this issue, so that we gain the projection expert of the host party will gain an understanding what is actually required with this MPG provision. And also host party provides comments to the draft review report. And as also Almajin mentioned, is that the recommendations are structured in a same way. So the paragraphs of the recommendations there are 3 paragraphs. In the first paragraph, it provides summary of the information provided by the party. Second paragraph is the information provided by the party during the review, and third paragraph is a third finding. And also I don't have time probably, so I just wanted to show you the example of how to report flexibility, that sometimes countries have a separate chapter reporting the flexibility and reporting on the capacity constraint, time frame for improvement. So be very careful when you use flexibility. Use the flexibility notation key FX. Also, with regards to BTR2, there are also some of the challenges might be related to NDC2 and NDC3, whether both NDC2 and NDC3 should be reported in BTR2, and it depends on implementation period. So if the implementation period overlap, that it means that both NDC should be reported. So new NDC3 doesn't mean that we forget about NDC2. So I think this was discussed during the lead reviewers meeting. Well, I'm not going to focus too much about it. So just to conclude that TERT is not an audit, it's a continuous improvement and capacity building process. So it's clear like none of the PTRs are perfect. So all of the countries have some recommendations and encouragements. It's okay to have areas of improvement. It's okay to have issues with the reporting. We have seen from first BTR that many countries had recommendations and encouragements, but the idea is to have a continuous improvement, so that second BTR will probably have less issues and some of the issues will be addressed. So the idea is the continuous improvement, and the results of the technical expert review will serve as a basis for the improvement plan, and will serve as a basis for the BTR2. So thanks, Kulthum, thanks, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Emigol. I like a lot that points about the CTF4 and the reporting on the progress made for the NDC2 and 3 at the same time. It's not about forgetting the first NDC or the second NDC. It's like a sustainable system that we need to maintain. I think we can move to the other speakers and then conclude with the questions and discussion and open the floor for discussion. So maybe for now we can move to Yamikani. Yamikani, please, the floor is yours.
Hello, can you hear me? Thank you very much,
Yes.
Kulthum. And it's a pleasure to be here with everyone. As introduced, I'm Yamikani Idris, and happy to see familiar faces, starting from Amma, which a close colleague, and the Samir and many others who have also previously made some intervention through this important session. So I'm really happy to also share my experiences. However, I should acknowledge that a lot has been said already from the party representatives, also from the previous speaker, fellow lead reviewer. So I'll just focus on two key questions. The first one will be on what I observed as a good practice for parties who prepared well for the review. So I think as highlighted by Samuel in their presentation as Egypt, I think what's key is strong institutional arrangements and coordination for the preparation of the report, but also for the coordination to actually respond to the questions from the reviewers, because that's the essence of the review. Once the reviewers, they have done their part, they do send, or we do send preliminary findings or preliminary questions before the review week. So that is really intense, especially to parties who are not ready. So it requires a good readiness, having a strong team, especially involving those experts who were part of the preparation of the report, because we see most of our parties, especially in developing countries, when you rely most on the consultants, and then when the contracts ended, it becomes very hard to bring the experts on board to help you to respond on the questions. So you really need to have national ownership, having a strong team to actually address the questions coming from the reviewers. So this is indeed before the review, and actually during the review week, and actually after the review week. So in a nutshell, on that, I would say you really need to have a strong team. That's my observation in terms of how parties have really prepared well. Now coming to the last question, which I think is also very important, and as Samir and also the other speaker from Lebanon also mentioned already, on how do we translate then the TR findings into concrete improvements in the transparent system and subsequent BTR. I think that's the essence of the review. So all this work should really be translated into a concrete plan for improvement in the subsequent reporting. So it's good to really have from the recommendations and encouragement an improvement plan. That's the starting point. So turn the report into an improvement plan, all those capacity building needs, highlight them and provide them to the sectors, because there are other capacity building needs which are not solely for you as a coordinator. There are others which are targeting several sectors. For example, we can have recommendations for a waste sector, if you say JG, in energy and other sectors as well. So we really need to have an improvement plan which provides the roles. It should be clear and explain the roles. Okay, on this recommendation, this is the institution which will be responsible to address those. For instance, you want to do emission factors, for example, for a specific category or sector, then you have to make sure that those recommendations are provided to those sectors. Don't just own the recommendation as a coordinating entity. So let's make sure that we have an improvement plan which has clear laws, and then we disseminate that plan and the recommendations to all the key sectors involved, so that we work together, and then ensure that when we are planning for the next BTR, we also have that as a guidance. We can include it either in the terms of reference for the experts who we are engaging, to say, as part of your work, you make sure that you take into consideration the recommendation or feedback from the technical expert reviews, so that when they are preparing the next BTR, they have to really check thoroughly to say, are we really addressing or incorporating the issues identified in the previous technical expert review? That will really help us to concretize the technical expert reviews into future improvements in the next reporting. So looking at the time, that's how I can contribute to this very important session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yemekani. It's a big pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for accepting the invitation. I think now we can move to Jaipal. Jaipal, the floor is yours, and then we can open the discussion for our three speakers.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Keltum, for inviting me with this very good panel of lots of experts and lots of national experts also. And thank you especially to Leah and Samir for putting everything before us. That's a good thing to speak after you. What reviewer sees from the countryside. So I want to start by putting the first regional position. I was just checking our MENA network, and I saw that from the around 20 countries, 12 countries have submitted, and from them 4 have already gone through the reviews currently, and one as Lebanon already published the technical expert review report. So we have around 12 countries, those who will submit the BTR and also will face the BTR review. BTR technical expert review. So I can say now you have a good experience. Around 82 technical expert review is currently conducted. So we have lots of things to learn from all our neighbor countries where there is a technical expert review is conducted. And also we already listened to the Lebanon and the Egypt. So that's also the good example for us. So the first question, most common technical institutional challenge identified during the review from my side is that the single most useful thing that I can tell you is this: across all the review I have been involved and also all my friends have been involved. The review report now published, the main cause of the recommendation raised by the team is not the incorrect estimates in the inventory or any number. It is an estimate that cannot be traced, explain or reproduce from what you have submitted as a part of the inventory document to the BTR. A reviewer jobs under this MPG is not to redo your inventory. If your number is defensible, but your national inventory document does not say where the activity data came from, who supplied it, which tier you have used, and why the reviewer has no basis on which to conclude the consistency, that's become a finding. So it is entirely avoidable because it squats the documentation time, not the modeling time. That you have to first thing to understand. Second thing is the completeness. This is a major problem globally, not only for the MENA region. And Secretariat also mentioned this, that all in last year in October that 114 parties submitted the BTR and 88 made the deadline, but all these 88, there are 73 had submitted the CRT, 69 submitted the CTF, and only 54 had submitted the CTF for support. So there is no completeness. So fewer than I think 2/3 of the party that submitted on time submitted a complete package, not the full package. So the full package is also required. Full package means BTR, NID, CRT, CTF for NDC plus for support. This is also the most important thing that you have to learn. Where the questions comes mostly, if you see the questions throughout this all technical expert review, more than 50% questions are on the inventory, around 15 to 20 on NDC tracking and policy measures projection, and around 10% on the FTC. So as you know, inventory is the most important thing. And this is also in that inventory. If you see the paragraphs, 3 paragraphs are most important. Paragraph 39, 21, and 47. On these 3 paragraphs, we ask lots of questions. So this is the first task that you have to do. You have to cross-check, and you can also do the proper QA/QC system in your country, help you to reduce so many of questions that are coming from the technical expert review team. Also, that the institutional finding, as Yaminiki mentioned, those who are prepared, those BTR prepared by the consultant, and if consultant is not there, this technical expert review become more difficult. And if I am the reviewer, I know that from MENA region, I will focus on the fugitive emissions, power generation, petrochemicals, refining, HFC refrigeration. So these are the key area for MENA region. So this we have to also need to strengthen whenever we are preparing a BTR, at least in terms of the transparency or accuracy, following the TSSC principle. For the second question, what country can do before and during the, so I think what our Egypt colleague and Lebanon colleague mentioned, try to answer all the questions before that all the persons are coming in your country. That will be very good exercise. And also record everything, because this portal may sometimes not give you flexibility, or it is not easy to use because we are using the first time. So try to record everything in offline mode and also in a printable mode. So you can also circulate to the wider people in your, because BTR is not prepared by one person or 10%. There are many people involved. So timelines also matter. And there is a one timeline that I would like to mention. Most of we are always forgetting. I think around 14-week, secretariat contact you. Before 10 week, they prepare the team. But before the 8 week, if you would like to resubmit anything of the first BTR, you can do that. Even your BTR in your NID, your CRT, CTF. If you would like to resubmit, that's the chance, last chance for you. Before the 8 week, you can do. After the 8 week, they will not consider anything that you will submit again. So that you have to also consider. And for the third question, it's a good practice to observe in the countries. I think the strongest preparation I have seen in the party running a self-assessment of the MPG provision. And the good thing is that CBIT-GSP is doing this. So if you would like to do mock TER before facing the actual TER, contact Keltum. She will do all the technical expert review part before you will go to the actual. So CBIT-GSP will do the technical expert review of everything expert, the same like what Secretariat is doing. So this will be good exercise for you and also for us. And we together confidently and internally will prepare the BTR, which definitely reduce the questions by 50%. Second thing is about the flexibility. Always declare the flexibility if you are using it. If you are not using and you thought that I have used, they will understand. We will not understand. If you declare, then only we will understand you took the flexibility. If you do not declare, then we will thought that you have missed this part of the reporting. And also understand what is the kind of flexibility. Don't increase the flexibility ourselves. There is only mention things as per the MPG we have to use, other than we can't use. And the also most important thing is the notation key. Wherever there is a no number, there is a notation key required. We can't report a 0 anywhere in this BTR. That's the new thing and most important thing in the BTR. So time to time, I think we can improve. And the, I think last questions about the how country can translate the technical expert review. So I can say that better QA/QC, data agreements, methodological work, and put every item in the National Improvement Register with owner and the date. Then only you can improve. What we are doing in the NDC, tracking all the number indicator, we also have to track the improvement. Even a 0.1%, 1%, 2%, that will tell you that we are improving BTR by BTR. If you are not improving, then you will also receive the same kind of question without even changing the language, anything sentence, the same question you will receive again in the BTR2. So try to track all the improvement, whether you are doing or not. And BTR2 is always due in the 2026, 5 months from today. So try to forward whatever you learn from the FMCP. Even you have not faced the technical expert review, you know that what are the challenges. That all the challenges are automatically become improvement plan for you. So without the technical expert review also, I would, you can do this. And I think the last thought about this technical expert review is not examination. It is the only pre-structured independent expert audit of your national data system that your government will ever receive. And it arrives with a written work plan and evidence base for this all funding attach everything. So this is the most important thing. And those who are now facing the technical expertise, all the best. And thank you. And I look forward to the discussion. Back to Kelton.
Thank you very much, Jaipal. That's we got a lot of guidance actually from our lead reviewers, and it's very for me personally, I learned a lot from them. So we would like now to open the floor for your questions. Please take the floor, dear participants, if you have any question or comment, or you want more clarification from our speakers. We have one of the best lead reviewers. So please, if you have any question, don't hesitate. I can actually start from here because I was wondering if, for example, if a country choose to fill in the tables, the CRT tables offline, which means without using the IPCC software, do you provide this comment and recommendation of using the IPCC software? And also, if, for example, a country didn't use the ATF reporting tools, would that be like a finding from the maybe show up in the capacity building needs, technical capacities, for example?
As per the MPG, there is no requirement to use the ETF tool. It's not mandatory. Maybe it will become mandatory in the future because they are also improving lots of things in there, also functionality in lots of things. So as of now, it's not mandatory, but it will make your things very easy if you use the ETF reporting tool, because anyway, you have to use that in the future. So it's good to start now and maybe move from the offline mode to online mode, which be a very good point.
Right. So it never came out in the final report, right?
Yeah, you can submit offline, or offline means all your Excel files as a CRT to the secretariat.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's very clear. Miss Alma, yes, please.
Thanks, and thanks to those who presented. And I want to just pick up on what Jaipal has said regarding the ETF reporting tools and the functionalities and the use of the reporting tools, and also that the parties get a chance for the Climate Data Hub to capture their information. So as Jaipal has said, I know some parties are using the IPCC software, but parties and you know have invested heavily in this reporting tool. It belongs to you. You have asked the secretariat to do it. It belongs to you. We are constantly upgrading it, so I would encourage the use of these tools. Your secretariat is available to provide support. When you go on the secretariat's website, you see the Climate Data Hub. You see how your data is used and what it generates. And I want you to always remember that this goes into the global stocktake process. So seeing all of this information, I really want to encourage use of that and support what Jaipal has said. And of course, all of the lessons that I've stayed through the entire session to hear the actual experiences. And I can tell you, it's invaluable to us. And we take on board a lot of what we've heard. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alma, for your guidance. Yes, of course, we do encourage all countries to use the IPCC software because it's facilitating their life, of course. Because if you take the full time to complete the, I think, 2000 table, that would be a very much a lot of work for you. So using the IPCC software is the intelligent and smart way to generate your CRTs, and also the ATF reporting tools. We had the chance during the second quarter of this year to organize the a 3 webinar series on ATF reporting tools, on the 3 tools, FTC, Progress, and GG Inventory. And it was very, very, very very successful because we've got, of course, the support from UNFCCC colleagues, Vlad and his team. So it was very successful and highly appreciated. Amigal, I want to ask you about, like, for example, if a country has the NDC number 1, and then number 2, and then number 3, and they are actually reporting under their BTR on 2024, and it's still under the time frame of the first NDC. Should they report on the first NDC targets and then the second one, or just concentrate on the updated NDC?
Yeah, thanks, Kulthum. So it depends on the NDC implementation period, as I said. So if the reporting period covers the NDC 1 or NDC 2 or NDC 3, then they should be reported. So in principle, in theory, if the implementation period overlap, then it means that the party can provide information, track progress on several NDCs. So from the recent lead reviewers meeting, we understand that parties can provide reporting on several NDCs, provided that they provide information on each one of them on the reference point, indicator, target year, and so on.
Oh, wow. So maybe in some cases, they would need to report on the last part of the FTC table, of the table number 4, related to achieving the NDC achievements, and then also report on the progress made in the first parts about the NDC number 2, for example, right?
Yes, so if they track progress of several NDCs, then they should provide description of the several NDCs in the CTF table 1, 2, and so on.
Yeah, that's very clear. Thank you very much. So if we don't have any other question from our colleagues who are joining, please. First of all, thank you very much for our speakers. Thank you, Amigal, for coming. She was on leave, and she came just for us. So thank you very much. This is very much appreciated. Thank you, Jaipal. Thank you, Yamikani, and thank you, Ms. Alma, of course. And thank you for Samir and Leah for sharing the experience. I think it was very insightful webinar. And now I would like to ask our colleagues to join me by scanning the QR code here. We will just conclude with a very quick Menti. Please try to scan the QR code here. So we will need just your feedback. That will be very quick. If you are joining using your laptop, you can also go to menti.com and enter the code 46170032. And I believe that this session was not enough. There is a lot of other things to discuss, and we will try to do our best to keep the communication on this. So as it was mentioned by Jaipal, our support is also on quality assurance. So please try to contact us if you need any review for your BTR. No matter when or where are you actually, so you can just send us a part of your report. You can send us a chapter. We have a very strong team, and one of them, these people that you see here, Jaipal, Amigal, Fernando, and the list is big. So they will really support you in your BTR preparation. And I think the the review that we provide is also will help you to minimize the number of recommendations from the TOR, because of course, if you need any follow-up sessions, technical sessions to discuss those recommendations and how you can overlap all the gaps and the challenges and the data that is needed, and if something is not really understood under the MPGs, so you can just contact us and we will be more than happy to support you. And please do an extra effort to submit this time on time. You know that the deadline is this time is December 2026, and I know that some countries are doing very well and are doing a great job to make this submission on time. We have with us St. Lucia, Egypt, Morocco, Qatar. It's nice to see people from Qatar. We have also Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, KSA. It's nice to see you, colleagues. Please mention here from where are you joining us today. And I think I wanted also to announce that we were organizing a peer-to-peer learning on the use of IPCC software in 3 sectors, LULUCF, energy, and waste. And we had the pleasure to receive some of the countries in the MENA who requested already this support. And we will try to do a regional experience sharing on LULUCF sector, because we received also some of the requests from countries that, and also we know that this sector is having a lot of challenges. So we'll try to focus on that. And of course, the next webinar will be on Article 6 reporting under the Article 13 and the transparency framework. So it will be also an experience sharing. Now, please indicate your gender. And for other people who couldn't join, you can still scan the QR code here or go to menti.com and enter the code 46170032. Okay. So was this event useful for your work? It's nice to see that we've got our main objective, so people will get or will use some of the findings and the lessons learned from today's session. Thank you very much. And the last question, how satisfied are you with this technical webinar? Maybe next time we will allocate like 2 hours and 30, because then somehow we had to run a little bit. But I think that's something that we can address in the other sessions. Please indicate how satisfied are you with this technical webinar. But the main purpose was to hear from people, and especially countries and the lead reviewers, and that was really, really very insightful. So from my side, I learned a lot. What is the most useful takeaway you will take from this webinar? Country experiences. Yes, experiences and lessons learned from reviewers and the party representative. Yes, absolutely. Lessons learned from BTR1 reviewer preparation for reviews, challenges faced before and during the review, of course. Understand the difference between shall and should. Yes, I think that's something that's Amical already mentioned, and it's very important to know what is mandatory, what is just additional, and where we need to put more focus. The best practices on how does the countries be prepared for the BTR and how they could benefit from the capacity building needs. TR is continuous process. It's not only an audit. Yes, that's a very good message too. Yes, it's a continuous process, and all of this, as it was mentioned earlier, it's learning by doing. So the first BTR was the first exercise, and of course, the subsequent BTRs will provide more details and will be more transparent and minimize the data gaps. Utilizing TUR, the main takeaway is that it is a continuous learning process, and it is very important for countries to build their capacities internally. Thank you very much. I think we've got a very good session. Thank you very much, colleagues, for joining us today. And I would like now to give the floor to Alma. Alma, please go ahead if you have a few words to conclude this session.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
Just before, Alma, thank you very much for joining, because we know that it was like 5 o'clock in the morning for her. So thank you very much. This is very much appreciated, and sorry about it.
No need to apologize. I'm really grateful that you invited us to do this. It gave us the perspective of the technical expert review from the other angle, from the eyes of the parties, from the eyes of the experts. And I really want to thank all of the experts, all of the lead reviewers. I mean, we're familiar with all of them. To hear from you the benefit of this, please continue to reach out, encourage your colleagues to participate in this review. Just 1 minute,
Yes,
just a little
of course.
noise around. Me better?
Yes, that's very good.
Okay.
Very
Yes, yes. So I mean, it was really invaluable for us, like I said, to hear these messages from the other side of the fence. We continue to reach out and to do the best that we can. The output of the BTR1 will feed into your BTR2. For developing countries, capacity building needs is critical. I have coordinated the technical analysis of the BUR for years and now doing the technical expert review. We can see the improvement. Certainly, we can see it being taken on board. So thanks again, everybody. We encourage you to continue to do this. Please feel free to ask us to participate in any of your sessions. We are willing to do that. And we look forward to the BTR2s. I understand that many BTR2s, the preparation is ongoing. And so we look forward to receiving these and working again with you to review BTR2. So thank you and have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you very much, Alma. Thank you very much for all our speakers and for all participants from MENA countries. We are very pleased to have you all, and see you very soon. Have a very good day and also a very good weekend. Enjoy it.